In this video, we'll talk a little bit more about metadata. So you'll see these gray squares that have like 4 little squares and rectangles inside of them. This means that there is an existing metadata file. You'll see here, these are a lighter gray, which means there's the capability to write metadata, but there is an existing metadata for each of these files. You'll note that there's a difference in the research workspace between folder level metadata and file level metadata. And often we are writing folder level metadata because we are archiving or making public everything inside of a folder. And it is more onerous to write a file level metadata record for each file than it is to write a folder level metadata record that can also describe everything inside of the folder. So again, and I showed this in a previous video, you can right click to write metadata. You can click on pre-existing folder level metadata to open up that file and make changes or add or go back to where you left off. You can click here, and this blue button is for folder level metadata as well. So you have 2 ways to open folder level metadata in the research workspace. In the previous video, I talked about metadata templates, and in this video, I will quickly walk through the metadata template for the EPSCoR Fire and Ice program. So I went through our ISO 19115-2 standard metadata and filled out any information that should generally be added for almost all of the data that we want to archive or make public through the research workspace. You'll see that a title that's descriptive and informative is required, an abstract for the data set, not an abstract for your paper or for the research project itself, but really an abstract about the data is important. Any information about the purpose and the intention of the data set is helpful to someone coming after you to try and understand, why and how and what was done. Contacts are always important, and you'll note that there's 2 sections here. We have the names for the citation and then any points of contact. And it is very important that you make sure you have a citation name, the PI, yourself, added here. Additionally, it's important to have points of contact who may be available to answer questions down the line about this data set. So I have added in the EPSCoR program as a point of contact, but I have not taken the time to write a citation. However, of course, it's always very important. If there are additional credits, they should be added, and I've made sure to make note of the award number for the NSF award that funds the EPSCoR program. But if you have other partners or tribal leadership that you're working with, or you have additional funders, this is a great place to make note of them. If you click next, you'll see that I have added some categories that could pertain to your work. Of course, if you are in the boreal team, you're unlikely to have inland waters, so you would remove that. You can also add. However, this list is pretty narrow because it's for the broader categories. Presentation form is usually a digital table, but if you have a variance from that, you can just select something from this record. Perhaps it's a digital photo, so you could click image digital and add it there. I have taken a pass at some thematic keywords that may be helpful or useful for some EPSCoR researchers. And again, you can always remove these if they do not work for you, and you can always add new ones. This is just so that when you're writing your metadata, you can see an example of what could be written here. So perhaps you're doing quadrats, perhaps you're doing hyperspectral work. You could leave these. If not, you can remove them by clicking this X. Another set of keywords using the GCMD science keywords. Perhaps you're in the coastal team, you're doing coastal work, you're in the intertidal zone, you're looking at rivers and streams and oceans, and you can leave all these. However, let's say you are doing coastal work, but you're not looking at oceans, simply remove what you want. Or you're in the boreal team, you're not doing any of this, click that X there and remove. You can then also add and copy if you need. I've added location, temporal example of what might be useful there. Other keywords and abstract keywords are really up to you. However, I have gone ahead and added project level keywords that should be a part of every EPSCoR dataset. And from there, I'll stop and we can do another video about the rest of the metadata template for the Fire and Ice program.